The Echo in the Candlelight by Nathaniel Davis. In a quiet town nestled between the Everglades and the sea, there lived a young artist named Alanis who made candles that sang. Not literally, of course. But when people lit them, they swore they heard melodies, soft hums, forgotten lullabies, even whispered lyrics that stirred memories they didn't know they had. Alanis never advertised this. She simply sold her creations at the flea market each Saturday, tucked between a vinyl vendor and a woman who sold dream catchers made of driftwood and wire. One day, a stranger arrived. Dressed in a faded tour jacket and carrying a battered guitar case, she bought a candle labeled Midnight Verse. That night she returned. "This candle played my song," she said. "One I never recorded, one I only sang once, in a dream." Alanis blinked. "Maybe it remembered for you." The stranger smiled. "You're not just a crafter. You're a keeper." From that moment, Alanis Booth became a pilgrimage site for musicians, poets, and wanderers. Each candle held a story, a sound, a spark. But Alanis had a secret. She didn't choose the songs. The wax did. Every night she'd melt silence into scent, pour memory into mold, and wait. Sometimes the candles hummed with heartbreak. Sometimes they pulsed with rebellion. And sometimes they stayed quiet, waiting for the right soul to light them. Years passed. Alanis' fame grew, but she never left the market. She believed stories belonged to the people, not the platforms. And when she finally lit his own candle, one she'd never dared to sell, it sang a lullaby her father used to hum while rocking her to sleep. A song lost to time, now reborn in flame. Chapter 2. The Wax Keeper's Whisper. The market buzzed louder now. Word had spread. Alanis' candles didn't just smell like memories, they sang them. Musicians came from cities Alanis had never visited. Some brought old demos, hoping the wax would echo them back. Others came empty-handed, searching for songs they'd lost in heartbreak or haze. But Alanis was changing too. She began dreaming in melodies, not her own, but others. A jazz riff from a saxophonist who died in 1973. A lullaby sung by a mother in a war-torn village. A chant from a protest that never made the news. Each morning, she'd wake and pour wax with trembling hands, unsure if the candle would carry the tune or stay silent. One night, she lit a candle labeled Unspoken. It didn't sing. It wept. The flame flickered blue, and the wax melted in patterns that resembled script. Ancient, maybe. Alanis sketched it quickly, then tucked the drawing into her journal. That night, she dreamed of a woman with silver eyes who whispered, "You're not just remembering. You're restoring." The next day, a historian visited his booth. She'd heard rumors of a candle that echoed lost languages. Alanis hesitated, then handed her Unspoken. She lit it, and her eyes widened. "This is a dialect from the mountain tribes of Aravel," she said. It was thought extinct. Alanis' heart pounded. "I didn't know," she smiled. "The wax did." From then on, Alanis' candles weren't just art. They were archives. She began calling herself a wax keeper, a guardian of forgotten sound. She crafted in silence, letting the wax choose its memory. Some candles sang, some whispered. Some stayed quiet for weeks until the right soul arrived, but one candle remained untouched. It sat on her shelf, wrapped in black ribbon, labeled Legacy. Alanis didn't dare light it. Not yet. She knew it held something powerful. Maybe a song from the future. Maybe a truth she wasn't ready to hear. And somewhere, in a studio across the country, a young producer named Nathaniel heard a melody in a dream, a candlelit harmony that felt like home. The next morning, they booked a one-way ticket to the Everglades. Chapter 3. The Flame That Found You. The plane touched down just after dusk. Nathaniel stepped into the humid Florida air, headphones still humming with a melody from last night's dream. It wasn't just a tune. It felt like a message, a call, a memory that didn't belong to them, yet somehow did. They followed whispers through the town, asking about the wax keeper. Locals pointed toward the flea market, where the scent of sandalwood and citrus drifted like a trail. Alanis' booth was quiet when Nathaniel arrived. No crowd. Just a table of candles, each labeled with cryptic names: Echo, Refrain, Unfinished. Alanis looked up, eyes tired but kind. "You heard it, didn't you?" Nathaniel nodded. In a dream, it felt like a collaboration. Alanis smiled. Then you're ready. She reached beneath the table and pulled out Legacy, the candle wrapped in black ribbon. I didn't make this one, she said. It made itself. And it's been waiting. Nathaniel hesitated. What happens when I light it? Alanis shrugged. It sings what you need to hear, or what the world needs to remember. That night, in a rented studio lit only by Legacy, Nathaniel struck the match. The flame danced violet. Then came the sound. A layered harmony. Voices from different eras stitched together like a choir of time. A gospel riff from the 60s. A synth pulse from the 80s. A lo-fi hum from a bedroom in 2009. And beneath it all, a voice that sounded like Nathaniel's, but older, wiser, weathered. They recorded it. The track went viral within days, not because it was catchy, but because it felt like truth. Listeners said it reminded them of something they'd forgotten. A dream. A promise. A version of themselves they'd buried. Alanis watched from afar, proud but quiet. She knew the wax had chosen well. And Nathaniel, they began crafting candles of their own. Not to mimic Alanis, but to expand the legacy. Each one infused with scent, story, and sound. A new kind of merch. A new kind of message. The wax keeper had passed the flame, and the world was listening. Chapter 4. The Girl with No Crown. The archive had changed Nathaniel. One evening, while exploring the coastal ruins near the Everglades, Nathaniel stumbled upon a girl sketching in the sand. She wore a faded hoodie, oversized sunglasses, and boots too clean for the swamp. Her hair was braided like vines, and her fingers moved with the precision of someone used to hiding. You're not from here, Nathaniel said. She looked up, startled, then smiled. Neither are you. Her name was Tiara. She said she was a traveler, studying folklore and scent rituals. But her accent was regal, her posture too poised, and her eyes, violet, like the flame of legacy, held centuries. They walked together, trading stories. Tiara asked about the candles, the music, the archive. Nathaniel asked about her sketches, symbols that looked eerily like the ones Alanis had drawn from Unspoken. Finally, under a canopy of moss and moonlight, Tiara confessed. I'm not just a traveler, she said. I'm a princess, from a kingdom that exists between memory and myth. We call it Lysoria. She had fled her palace after discovering a prophecy, that her voice would awaken the candle of reckoning, a flame that could either restore her kingdom or unravel it. I've been hiding, she said, but your music, it called me. Nathaniel felt the air shift. The candle reckoning, still dormant in the archive, had pulsed when Tiara arrived. It was waiting. Together they returned to Alanis. She's the one, Nathaniel said. Alanis studied Tiara, then nodded. Then the archive must decide. She handed her reckoning. Tiara lit it. The flame turned silver, and the wind sang in a language no one had heard in centuries. Chapter 5. The Song Beneath the Crown. The silver flame of reckoning burned for hours, casting shadows that danced like spirits across the archive walls. Tiara stood still, her violet eyes locked on the flickering light. Nathaniel watched her, sensing the shift, not just in the room, but in the air itself. The candle was singing again, but this time, it wasn't melody. It was memory. Visions poured from the flame, a palace of glass and wind, a throne carved from obsidian, a girl in a crown too heavy for her heart. Tiara flinched. Nathaniel stepped closer. You okay? She nodded slowly. It's showing me Lysoria. Before the silence, Alanis emerged from the shadows, holding a scroll sealed in wax. This was buried beneath the archive, she said. It only surfaced when reckoning lit. Tiara broke the seal. Inside was a map, half real, half imagined. It showed Lysoria's borders, but also something else, a fracture. A tear in the land labeled the dissonance. That's where the prophecy ends, Tiara whispered. Where the song breaks. Nathaniel traced the map with a finger. What if we finish it? Alanis raised an eyebrow. You mean compose the missing verse? Tiara looked at Nathaniel. You heard it in your dream. I saw it in the flame. Maybe together. They began crafting a song, not just music, but memory. Tiara sang in the ancient tongue of Lysoria, her voice trembling but true. Nathaniel layered harmonies drawn from the archive, each note a thread from forgotten candles, unspoken, genesis, inheritance. As they worked, the candles around them began to glow. One by one, they lit themselves, forming a circle of flame. The archive was listening. But not everyone was pleased. Far beyond the market, in a tower of smoke and silence, a figure stirred. Cloaked in ash, crowned in shadow, she watched the flames rise. "The waxkeeper has passed the torch," she hissed, "and the princess has found her voice." She turned to a candle labeled Silence, and lit it. Chapter 6, The Ember Beneath. The candle flickered, casting shadows that danced like memories across the studio walls. Alanis sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by jars of herbs, wax blocks, and torn pages from old journals. The scent of lavender and burnt cedar clung to the air, mingling with the quiet hum of a gospel melody playing from a cracked speaker. This was the ritual. Not for the world, not for the brand, but for the soul. Each blend told a story. One for grief, one for forgiveness, one for the kind of love that never asked to be named. Alanis' fingers moved with reverence, mixing crushed rose petals with a pinch of ash from last winter's fire. The flame wasn't just heat, it was memory, transmutation. Outside, the city pulsed with noise and neon. But here, time bent inward. The studio was a sanctuary, a forge, a confessional. Alanis lit the wick of the newest creation and whispered into the flame. For the ones who stayed. For the ones who left. For the ones who became light, the candle flared, then settled into a steady glow. A warmth spread through Alanis's chest, not just pride, but clarity. This wasn't just craft. It was legacy. Every scent, every lyric, every story stitched into wax and word was a thread in the tapestry of becoming. And somewhere deep inside, beneath the layers of ambition and ache, a quiet ember stirred, ready to rise. Chapter 7, The First Flame. The studio was silent, save for the soft crackle of the candle Alanis had named Resurgence. It wasn't just wax and wick anymore. It was a signal. A beginning. They stood at the threshold, a box of freshly poured candles in one hand, a notebook of lyrics and sketches in the other. Outside, the city waited. Not with fanfare, but with possibility. Alanis took a breath. Not the kind that steadies nerves, but the kind that claims space. They stepped out, the door clicking shut behind them. The scent of cedar and rose trailed like a promise. Each step forward felt like a verse, a beat, a brushstroke. This wasn't just a launch. It was a declaration. I am here, I am whole, and I am ready to be seen. The flame had found its voice.